lived in every potentiality that you can think of. That's why you can think of it. You already did it. If you ain't never done it before, you can't have a prophecy about it. But we in cycles within cycles. We're trying to flip out the infinity loop, right? When the spiritual energy and physical energy is closest together, we can make the flip. That's what happened at the Maherta, right? All of these different names that's titles, people don't understand that some of these names and titles is ancient positions that's the original hierarchy of the planet.
We got another question for Brother Rod. Ms. Starr says, how we supposed to move with all the financial fraud being exposed about our birth certificate and having no value?
Look, when Big Mama Bank come online, we gonna be all right. We just need to let this old system die first. Step back and let it fall if you can. But you got to know that you got to move according to your position, your responsibilities, how many people you taking care of, how much of the system you can cut off and still take care of them people. Right? It's logistics involved in separating from the system. But most of us don't want to go through the logistics because they feel like it's doing too much. So I had to go through it to show them that if you don't do it, you won't end up getting where we going. You have to separate, but you have to figure out you can either wait till it totally collapse while other people trickling out, or you can accelerate it by being one of the ones who strategize your way out of the system. And you know you out of it when nothing that you do requires you to have to sign nothing. Your signature is your oath.
Hey, the guy, he asked, does jurisdiction matter when getting our land back for property tax?
Yeah, jurisdiction always applies. Right. So when you talking about being organic to the land, your jurisdictional position is sovereign. Sovereign right holds superior jurisdiction over national rights, corporate right, contract right. Sovereign right reigns supreme over all that.
Hey, what is Enlil's connection with the Pope? Or is Enlil in bed with the Pope? Because we have, because it seemed like to me, man, when I've been putting it together, especially when I was talking to Mother Sophia Stewart, because we was like brainstorming for like 2 hours on the phone. And I thought about it, man. The people that's telling the story of the Bible is really the nomos. They writing about the Anarchies. So they writing the Anarchies. Well, I guess they could say they write them in the good light and the bad light, really. But it's like the Bible is being told from not from the Anarchies perspective, but from the nomos. They were the ones looking up when Enlil and them came down, like looking up out of the water, because it was they was under the water. So, and if you look at the religious concept based on the astronomy and esoterical, the way that esoterical dealing with the sun and 12 stars, all that. And the Pope wearing a fish hat, and these cardinals dressed like birds, calling themselves birds or whatever. What is the connection between Enlil and the Pope? Is the Pope in bed with Enlil?
Enlil, remember I told you Enlil married a lizard chick from a Mirrorverse.
Okay.
With inverted genetics that breed like seahorses.
Go ahead.
Right. The lizard was living under the Vatican until 2020. The Statue of Liberty is an anthropomorphized version of the same being. This is why they under the Vatican, because they supplanters. But in the ancient text, they called the archives. And they had a human hybrid race. Those was Enlil's children that was living in Switzerland. They all gone now. It was a lot of them. But that was your Amun priests. Now you got to ask me how I know they gone.
How you know they gone?
Because they've been given tours of the underground tunnels that they used to live in.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it, Rod. I seen it. And they've been doing it for a while now, so they must have been gone for a while. They've been touring that place probably since like 2000, like the early 2000, like maybe before that. When you heard of they?
The major underground installation, they just started touring that in 2021.
Oh, okay.
2022. Okay. The Earth Alliance and Interpol are the ones that went into Switzerland.
Okay.
And if you go back, we did a video when I showed you the receipt.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut it.
So they went back. They went in there and they rounded them all up. Now, remember they told us that it was a meteor showers in Antarctica. They was playing the video backwards. There wasn't people coming to Earth. Them was people leaving Earth. They was playing the video in reverse.
Wow, they good. They good. Hey, Rod. Now, for the guy that's asking, William Sanders, I think Sanders is tied in with the Muskogee. Keep in mind, I already put the ancestral tape out with the last names. But we're gonna ask Rod this too, though.
Just get the book. Get that book, 500 Tribes.
Okay.
It's gonna show you what all tribes was and what part of the land. And this is why I say we wasn't all Moors, because different tribes have different belief systems, different structures, different marital rights, different birth rights, different ways in which some of them monogamous, some of them polygamous. You got different clans all over the land. Get the book 500 Tribes, or you can just Google the indigenous map of the Americas before 1492, and it'll come right up under images, and it'll show you all of these tribes' names plotted across the map. But wars.
Yeah, that land, Arkansas was definitely Washita land. I mean, Louisiana, it was part of the Louisiana Purchase, wasn't it, Rod?
Yep. Everything west of the Appalachians, east of the Rockies was the Louisiana Purchase, going up into Canada. Most of us don't know that Canada and America got the same CASHAPP number. That means it's owned by the same corporation, doing business under the same CASHAPP identification.
Wow, that's fire. That's fire. So he said this dude said his family migrated to Oklahoma. They had slaves. And your slaves probably because you look at that tape that me and Roy put out how the slave trade was faked. And Dame Calloway got a book called It Was Told in Reverse. I got that book too. Yeah, but that's another question we got for you, Rod. Now, because everybody's still pointing the finger at the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, and they saying that, oh yeah, no, Rod talking about some dark guys, and no, the real guys is Rothschilds and the 13 families. Could you break down that those guys, how those guys are really puppets and who they really work for? The guys that's hiding over in Morocco in the desert. Go ahead. They look like us, but they ain't us with crusty feet.
The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Saxons, Those were all hand-picked families by the what we call the black hand, the black nobility, the Amun priests, the ones you can't see, right? They was chosen for the purposes of giving us the perception that all of the rich people of the world was pale faces. It was perception that they was working on. They was all they carry actual paperwork on behalf of the dirt they was doing. According to the UCC, they have to everything that they collected, they had to account. This is why they was using the central banking system, and the Rothschilds was the ones holding the allodial title that leveraged the banks to do their bidding. If you go and look and examine them, you will find out that not one Rothschild owned nothing. Everything is in a trust. The Rockefellers is in the trust too, right? The Morgans, that's all in the trust. They all own the banks, but they don't own nothing. Because when you trace it back to the central banking system, they got what's called the unknown board of trustees, which is the stakeholders. There's no pictures of the stakeholders anywhere to be found. But you can still continue to follow the money to the major accounts of the world. The world, they got a name for it that they use, SesQe Trust, right? When they was stealing your stuff, they was not allowed to use it themselves. So they had to stockpile in things that don't perish, which is gold, silver, diamonds, precious metals, right? Precious stones. We got crystals that cost thousands of dollars. You got crystals more expensive than diamonds.
Right.
But we don't know about that kind of stuff. Right? And then as intellectual property, if you make it into a piece of jewelry, you increase the value exponentially because now it's got a signature to it, a spiritual signature. Because somebody used their creative potential to produce the artifact. So the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers is what's called a cat's paw. You use a cat's paw when you don't want to get your own hands dirty. That means somebody else is working on your behalf, doing the stuff you need done, so you don't never have to take the fall for doing it.
Somebody asked Rod, for your perspective, do you think that our land, I guess they meant in like United States, because United States Corporation is using our land as the front, right? And they thinking that, do you think that if we get into a nuclear war with Russia or anybody, how does that affect our land? And with them being just 10 by 10 square miles, U.S. corps, and then while we get blown off the map, they just yeah, the business we out of business. So how does that work? With the nuclear, when you got China, everybody got nuclear warheads, and a lot of them facing us, because we have pissed up United States corps and pissed so many guys off and robbed so many guys and just really criminals. They criminals, really. They were set up by criminals. The four founding fathers are all criminals. So, how does that play out by this being our land and we indigenous to the land? These suckers come over here and everything's really getting put on our back. Even the national debt, all this is all on our back. Once we wake up and figure out what the hell is going on, and how do we assess this matter? As far as the nuclear, everybody got nuclear weapons and shit.
Do you know what a scare tactic is?
Indeed. Go ahead.
We ain't about to have no nuclear war.
That's what I'm not finna
do. We've done that already.
Go ahead.
We're not finna do that again. All this stuff y'all seeing right now, A bunch of people getting evicted and they running out to the door bluffing.
If you don't leave me alone, I'm gonna blow up. I'll pull the button.
We ain't about to have no nuclear war. If they drop a nuclear bomb, the only place it's gonna get hit is what we call today Gaza.
The Gaza Strip.
Modern day Israel. That's the only place on the planet that it would be allowed right now for somebody to drop a nuclear bomb.
Wow.
Just the only place where mass genocide to this magnitude with this spotlight on it. They got a couple of them they trying to do in Africa. Africa ain't finna have no nuclear war. Them Africans ain't nobody want to bomb Africa with nuclear bombs. The African nations don't go around the world pissing people off. So they not finna drop nothing over there for. They finna make the Africans stand up and stop the Holocaust themselves. They not finna the Arabs is not gonna stop this Holocaust in the Middle East because they in bed with the Zionists. We'll keep forgetting that Islam was wrote by the Catholic Church.
Right.
The same is the same as what we call Judaism was written by the Catholic Church. That's the backstory to the story they was telling.
That's right.
When they put the Bible together in 325, wasn't no Old Testament. The Old Testament was added later because they needed a backstory.
That's right. People don't know that. Hey, I got a question for you, Roy. We'll take this question from Paul first if he super chatted. It says, how do we know if we are anarchy or organic to the land with all the mixing of the bloodline?
This is a personal development issue at this point. You know where you from because you know where you feel like you belong. The problem is a lot of us didn't feel like we belonged under the condition we was under. Because none of us belonged under those conditions. But when the conditions start to improve, you're gonna know if you feel like you from Earth or not. When Earth started moving back into the right Earth frequency, it's driven by the frequency of the sisters, like Tesla coils all over the planet. As the mitochondria begin to react to the resonance of Earth, you ain't gonna know. You gonna know where you. Because one thing about it, if you don't belong here, Earth is gonna turn you off. This is what they keep warning everybody about the Great Solar Flash. Right? So if you ain't from Earth when it sends out the cleanse pulse, you're not gonna be here. I don't care what you look like.
I got another question for you, Roy. This right here is a good one. Now everybody was talking about reparations and us getting paid for our conference. They say we was played. We know that was a fraud. The slave thing was a fraud. Now this is the thing. United States Corporation, they paying everybody but us. They pay the Jews, in Israel. They give them money every year. They get them money every year to keep the secret. The secret they keeping is about who we are really, but they don't want. They say they call and threaten them every certain amount of years. Say if y'all don't keep on paying us, we gon' really. They being the Israelis extorting the United States out of money and to keep the secret, and they get paid. The Israel getting. They send them tanks. They send them all kind of weapons to protect themselves. They send them aircraft carriers. Even the $5 Indian is getting paid over here. Everybody's getting paid by these guys who robbed us, but us. They even paying. They paying the Israelis. They were paying everybody. They even paying the Japanese from when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. They still get paid. People don't even know that from when the United States Corporation dropped the bomb on them. Because they sued them. They sued them in world court. when they dropped that bomb. And so United States been paying them, but why ain't we getting paid? What's the problem? Why everybody else they paying everybody else on our backs and we not getting paid right now for reparations? Go ahead. Right.
All of those places got something that we don't got. All those places have a representing national body. Well, the Senate and the Congress don't work for us. This is the hardest part for us to get. The Senate and the Congress don't work for us. The Supreme Court don't work for us. The military-industrial complex doesn't work for us. The central banks doesn't work for us. None of them work for us. The U.S. corporation is now defunct. It's been resolved in bankruptcy court. It's gone. It's over. We still sitting here thinking it's business as usual. We watching the fairy tales they tell us on nightly news and swear we informed. And all the time on nightly news, they cold flipping in your face, behind your back, talking to each other about what's taking place on the land, but they ain't using terms and symbols that you understand. They're talking over your head like grown folks talk over babies. So we don't need reparations. We need our stuff back. That's what we need. Because once they give us our stuff back, they won't be able to find anywhere to get a reparation from.
Right, damn right.
So you got these people running around fighting for reparations. I don't want reparations. I want my birthright.
Right.
Because your reparations is a drop in the bucket to my birthright.
Yeah, the bowl of soup analogy. The bowl of soup versus your birthright. They want to get they can't give us no cash. What we gonna do with paper money anyway? They can't give you. They gonna pay you paper and paper money.
We watching the banking system collapse in real time, and we don't even know we watching it.
Go ahead, Roy. Go ahead. Go in on it.
Look, they didn't put the bill in to dissolve the Federal Reserve. That's already been proposed at this fake Congress stage show they got going on. They didn't already, the World Economic Fund, who was the ally to the federal bank, the Klaus Schwab, stepped down. Right? So all of the decision makers behind the scenes got to step down. All this stuff is over with. The stage show comes to an end. And if they give you reparations, they have to give it to you in fiat that has no value in the new system where the gold currency will reign supreme over the fiat decreed money that had no value. We won't need inflation to maintain the artificial appearance of value to the currency. Therefore, prices are going to plummet. Just by erasing inflation alone, prices is going to plummet. What's not going to plummet is the pay scale.